Coming up in the news, the Governor General celebrating independence on Bahama, a special beach retreat on the island of Abaco, and tonight we will meet a young fashion designer.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping news, despite the threat of inclement weather, the cultural extravaganza in honor of independence went off without a hitch last night at the Independence Park in Freeport. The ceremony that featured the nation's head of state was a display of Bahamian pride as the young and the young at heart turned out to celebrate the country's 46th anniversary of independence. Grand Bahama's cultural extravaganza in celebration of the country's 46th anniversary of independence is officially in the history books, and it is one that won't soon be forgotten. Hundreds of residents coming together on the Independence Park to enjoy the cultural display, which included musical groups, combined choirs, dance groups, and some of the best Bahamian artists. This year was particularly special as the country's newest Governor General, His Excellency the Most Honorable C.A. Smith, and the country's Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, along with a contingent of cabinet ministers and members of parliament, were all on island to celebrate with Grand Bahamians. While this year's national independence theme is United We Stand Bahamas, Together We Can, Grand Bahama celebrated the cultural extravaganza under the theme Fly the Friendly Bahamian Sky, Island Hopping. Attendees were treated to a special show traveling from the southern islands of the Bahamas to the central Bahamas and then the northern Bahamas. All of the night's performances depicted the unique attributes of these islands. And as the nation continues to put God first in all of its affairs, a time for inspiration was included. Canon Norman Lightbourne had this independence message.
God's grace and mercy have brought us a long, long way. And we are truly grateful to God for sustaining us throughout the years. And we're relying on His grace and mercy in the years to come. So from Inagua and Magona in the south, to Bimini and Grand Bahama in the north, let us praise and thank our good and gracious God for His mercy still endure.
The show was then followed by the traditional Royal Bahamas Police Force Parade. This year's inspection of the armed forces was carried out by the nation's Governor General, a moment officers won't soon forget. The hoisting of the Bahamian flag was up next, a moment which invokes a heightened sense of pride for every Bahamian in this chain of islands. And finally, the culmination of the night, a spectacular fireworks display, which is always a treat for the young and young at heart. Now on July 10th, a family fun day will be held in East Grand Bahama at the Coconut Festival site in Pelican Point at noon and a similar event at Sweetings Key. Then on Saturday, July 13th, the celebration moves into Hunters at the YMTA with the unveiling of a Wall of Fame at 3 p.m. The following day, July 14th, a similar unveiling at Williamstown at 3 p.m. will take place. Festivities in celebration of independence will close out on Saturday, July 27th at the Cultural Village in 8 Mile Rock, where a cultural extravaganza will be held. There will also be a West Grand Bahama sporting event and awards presentation at the Jonestown Park at 4 p.m. Celebrations also continuing on the island of Abaco with a beach retreat. Residents both young and old joining in on the festivities. Our Jamila Mizik reports.
Patriotism at its finest as Abaconians continuing their 46th independence celebrations with a beat retreat featuring the Royal Bahamas Police Force Band. The rainy weather holding up long enough for the band to shine. Residents could be seen waving their Bahamian flags with pride, children dancing along with the band as they showed off their moves, while of course playing Bahamian music. Senior Deputy Family Islands Administrator for the Abacos, Maxine Duncombe, says this is the second year for the retreat.
It took a lot of persons coming together, putting together great minds, and also putting together plans that we feel Abaco would feel very proud of. We are very, very pleased that the Royal Bahamas Police Pop and Marching Band were able to be with us today and put on a performance for Abaco to enjoy. The weather held up very nicely for the performance, and so we hope going forward in the years to come that this continues and we're able to do it on a bigger scale.
Member of Parliament for Central and South Abaco James Albury commending the committee for doing a great job with the celebrations every year.
We've always built upon what we've done the years before, so I'd certainly like to thank all those on the committee who are, it's a group effort for sure amongst various departments and agencies. So first off the door, thanks go to all of them for taking their time to get everything set up. But it's always a good show, and they build up the momentum every year. We start with smaller events, throughout the length and breadth of Abaco, really.
And at the end of the band's performance, the Bahamian flag was hoisted, followed by the playing of the national anthem. Reporting from the government complex in Marsh Harbor, Abaco, Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
And now we continue our series on independence reflections 46 years later. Tonight, Rumiko Knowles has a candid conversation with sports legend Churchill Tenor Knowles. He says in order for the country to move forward, unity is imperative.
I am a Bahamian. Yo, hey yo, we come a long way and we just begun. Come on, lift up your heads to the rising sun and just sing it out.
We have to understand that no matter which government is in power, our independence is still the same.
The walls of his office displaying over 50 years of memories, the plaques given to him for his dedication and commitment to sports development in the Bahamas, the pictures signifying the personal relationship he has with leaders of the country, among them a man regarded as the father of the nation, former Prime Minister the late Sir Lyndon Oscar Pinling. Considering the country's population, Knowles says the Bahamas has done well in sports. He says after 46 years of independence, the theme United We Stand, Together We Can echoes the One Bahamas celebration slogan, One God, One People, One Bahamas, a message he says is needed at this time.
Cecil Thompson and I traveled the length and breadth of Grand Bahama, Bimini, and Abaco to enforce that message, especially to our young people. We'll be in the schools every year promoting one God, one people, one Bahamas. And we are one Bahamas. And it might be in Long Island, from Long Island or Eleuthera or Exuma or Cat Island or Inagua. But, we have a small population. And we need every single person to be on board, so to speak.
He says if the Bahamas is to move forward, Bahamians must unite.
That's in sports, and business, in government, in politics, that we have to all be a part of the building of the country, what we call the Bahamas, and we love our country. At least I do, And to me, there's no other country in the world like the Bahamas. I travel around the world when it comes to represent the country in sports, and I can assure you, no matter how good it was, wherever it was in England or Canada or U.S. or Cuba or Puerto Rico, compared to the Bahamas, for me personally, no place like the Bahamas.
Knowles implores the various sporting associations to take note of this year's independence theme and encourages everyone to continue working together.
We're all Bahamians, and we had to work together for the betterment of sports in the country. Don't be biased when it comes to persons excelling in various areas. Be thankful for them and congratulate them. And hopefully that theme would resonate straight through when it comes to not only this year, but in years to come. That united we stand, and united we progress in sports and in every other area.
The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Don't go away, there's more news right after this break.